What is man and why are we here on this earth? That question has puzzled man since our very creation. Man is constantly looking for solace regarding what is going to happen while living and after death. How do these people find comfort? Religion. Religion is used by many to find answers to the unanswerable. For others, religion is false hope. Religion has the ability to unify cultures and societies, but it also has the ability to rip apart societies and tear them down from the roots. Religion has been the cause of many wars and global conflicts in history, and still remains extremely prevalent today. With thousands of different religions that all have thousands of separate ideologies, argument and disagreement is imminent. We saw the Crusades in the 1200s, 9/11, the Westboro Baptist Church, and now we are presented with the problems between Palestine and Israel almost every day. Over 900 years ago, one of the most well-known religious conflicts occurred, the Crusades. The Crusades were a series of holy wars launched by the Christian states of Europe against the Saracens. The term Saracen was the word used to describe a Muslim during the time of the Crusades. The reason for the Crusades was a war between Christians and Muslims which centered around the city of Jerusalem. The city of Jerusalem held a holy significance to the Christian religion. The Crusades later went on to affect the wealth and power of the Catholic Church, changing history forever. 906 years later, on September 11, 2001, the United States experienced one of the most devastating attacks in its history. 9/11 was a series of attacks launched against the United States, particularly the World Trade Center in New York City and the Pentagon, performed by the terrorist group Al-Qaeda. You should pray. You should fast. You should ask God for guidance. You should ask God for help. Purify your heart from all earthly matters. This was the deadly instruction manual that the suicide bombers followed to destroy the United States' major government buildings and the country's sense of security. The mission was seen as a religious one. Iraq had a long-standing dislike of the United States due to the fact that they had helped other countries drive Saddam Hussein's troops out of Kuwait during the Gulf War. Since the attacks on 9/11, Islam has been coined by many as a dangerous religion. The fact of the matter is that the religion is not dangerous, but the people who practice this religion in the wrong ways are the dangerous ones. The perception of the religion now causes many problems worldwide because suicide bombers give Islam a bad reputation. In addition to the attacks on 9/11, the United States is faced with a less prominent conflict. Although less talked about, there is no doubt that the Westboro Baptist Church has become a disturbance to many around the United States and the world. The Westboro Baptist Church is an American unaffiliated Baptist church who preach their beliefs in order to demoralize homosexuals. The church's members consist of mostly one family, and as of 2011, the church had exactly 40 members. The Westboro Baptist Church is considered a religious conflict because it specifically targets homosexuals and people of other races to make them feel inferior. Westboro is well known for their picketing against gay people.
You got your filthy perverts over here!
It's the church best known for its perceived hatred, with hurtful protests at events many consider to be sacred.
They think that they're the only ones that are going to go to heaven. And if you don't go to that church, you're going to go to hell.
Libby Phelps Alvarez was born into the Westboro Baptist Church. Her grandfather founded the Topeka, Kansas church that some believe is more cult than congregation.
They will even go as far as to picket at a homosexual person's funeral. The Westboro Baptist Church believes that any religion that condemns homosexuality worships Satan. The church speaks openly about how they feel about other religions. They believe that the Roman Catholics are vampires and Draculas. They believe the Quran is a book of satanic fiction. They have a God Hates India webpage that refers to the Hindu religion. And finally, they believe that the Holocaust is justified and reasonable in regards to Judaism. The United States has made numerous laws to keep the church from picketing funerals. Furthermore, when Canada learned of the church's plan to protest there, Canadian officials banned their entry into the country. The Westboro Baptist Church is a prime example of what hate looks like in the United States of America. They base all their ideologies around the hatred of any person, place, or religion that is not their own. The United States, however, is not the only country with religious conflicts. Islam is a monotheistic religious tradition that developed in the Middle East in the 7th century. Islam literally means surrender or submission, and it was founded on the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad as an expression of surrender to the will of Allah, the creator and sustainer of the world. Judaism is considered by religious Jews to be the expression of the covenantal relationship God established with the children of Israel. The Israel-Palestinian conflict is an ongoing struggle between Israelis and Palestinians that began in the mid-20th century. This conflict has formed the core part of the wider Arab-Israeli conflict. The main issues are borders, water rights, mutual recognition, security, and control of Jerusalem. The original population of what is now Israel was 96% Muslim and Christian, but now these inhabitants are prohibited from returning to their homes in the Jewish state. Israel also has military control over privately owned land in West Bank, and they are in control of the Gaza Strip. This leaves Palestinians with minimal control over their lives. Thousands of men, women, and children are held in Israel prisons without any just cause. Israelis control all the borders of Palestine, and the Palestinians are beaten, raped, starved, tortured, and sometimes killed. According to Oslo Peace Accords, the Gaza Strip and West Bank were supposed to be Palestinian territories as of 1993. However, Israel continues to fight.
Often on the news, we hear the terms occupied territories, 67 borders, and illegal settlements. And the story we usually hear sounds very simple. During the Six-Day War, Israel captured the West Bank from the Palestinians, refused the United Nations' demand to retreat, and illegally built settlements. But is that really the case? We'll start with a simple but extremely important question. From whom did Israel capture the West Bank? From the Palestinians? No. In 1967, there was no Arab nation or state by the name of Palestine. Actually, was there ever? So, whose territory is it? Until 1917, the Ottoman Empire occupied the whole region. After losing in World War I, the Ottomans relinquished their 500-year control to the Allied forces, which decided to divide the old empire into countries. Britain recognized the Jewish people's historical right to their homeland. A small area, equivalent to about 0.5% of the Middle East, was designated for this purpose. But wait a second, do you realize what happened? The Jewish homeland originally included not only the West Bank, but also the East Bank of the Jordan River. I guess you cannot say the Jewish people have not accepted some painful compromises already. With the British mandate ending, United Nations General Assembly Resolution 181 recommended the establishment of two states, one Jewish and one Arab. The Jews accepted it and went on to create the State of Israel, while the Arabs refused the compromise and launched a war to destroy the newly established Jewish state. At the end of the war, a ceasefire line was formed, where the Israeli and Arab forces stopped fighting. At the insistence of the Arab leaders, this line was defined as having no political significance. So, although this line is commonly referred to as the 1967 border, it is not from 1967, and it was never an international border. So, let's return for a moment to our illustration and examine the complete chain of events. Israel's presence in the West Bank is the result of a war of self-defense. The West Bank should not be considered occupied because there was no previous legal sovereign in the area, and therefore, the real definition should be disputed territory. The 1947 partition plan has no current legal standing, while Israel's claim to the land was clearly recognized by the international community during the 20th century. That is why the presence and construction of Israeli settlements in the West Bank should not be considered illegal. So what's the solution for the dispute over the West Bank? Unfortunately, there is no magic solution. But the only way a solution will ever be reached is if we base our negotiations on legal and historical facts. So please, let's stop using the terms occupied territories and 67 borders. They're simply not politically correct.
As Danny Ayalon states in his video about West Bank and Israel, we must base our negotiations on legal and historical facts, not religious facts or religious purposes. Religion itself is not the cause of global conflicts, but rather the non-acceptance of religion. Conflicts regarding religion will only be eradicated if people can learn to accept that everyone has different beliefs and the human race must learn to coexist.